Well, thanks everyone for joining. Today is our 101 series, and we're going to be focusing on Power BI. I know we have 30 minutes scheduled for this, so I want to do a very quick introduction. My name is Josh Burdick. I'm an account manager here at Marquee 360. We are a Microsoft Gold partner. We focus on cloud productivity, project portfolio management, and collaboration. We have offices here in the United States, Canada, and Europe. Our founders are ex-Microsoft employees, which allows us to build strong relationships with the Microsoft product teams, field, and strategic customers. And our focus really is on the digital transformation using Microsoft 365 platform, which is Teams, Microsoft Work Management, and the Power Platform. And our core focus since we've started has always been just customer success, being a trusted advisor for you and helping to extend that Microsoft solution to enable a better user experience for you, the end user. And so once again, thank you guys so much for coming. Ray, I'm going to hand the mic to you so we can kick this demo off.
Sounds great. Thank you. Let's see. So Aaron, do you have the deck up? I apologize. I had the, I thought you had the deck open. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, Ray, I have it up. Can you see it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry. Thanks.
That's
I just opened it, but yeah, go ahead. If you want to share that, that'd be fine. Thank you very much. Thanks. Sorry, I had opened all the Power BI stuff I wanted to show you, but I didn't open the darn deck. What do you know about that? So what can you do with Power BI? So basically, Power BI is a very I'm sorry, let me take a step back. I should introduce myself. My name is Ray Latham. I've been working with Power BI since it came out, really with in conjunction with Project Online in 2013. Prior to that, I did work with SSRS. If you guys are familiar with Microsoft SQL reporting services, I started working with that around 2003. So I've done reporting for a little while now. So the nice thing about Power BI, it's simple. It's really pretty easy to get started. It's really pretty easy to create some pretty flashy stuff without having to know a lot of code. If you're familiar with SSRS, there's a lot of heavy lifting there. You've got to write your SQL. You've got to, build the thing from scratch. There's a whole lot of not necessarily programming, but functions and whatnot that go into it, which, it's a pro and a con. The positive side of that is, if you want to create the report to change the table heading colors every single day of the week, you can do that. However, that there's a price with that, right? It's a little bit more involved. But with Power BI, it's very easy to visually explore and analyze your data, create some really slick visuals. You can create dashboards, which you can use for collaboration, and you can share those with colleagues on any device. There's a mobile platform for Power BI, as well as what's called the service, which we'll see here in just a second. All right, Aaron, do you have another slide? Or that's okay? Then demo. So this is what I had opened. Forgot about our one PowerPoint there. So let me share my screen real quick. All right, so let's see. Well, come on. All right, you guys see my screen now?
Yep.
I can see.
Good. Okay, perfect. All right, so there's some components within Power BI. So there is the, we'll talk about kind of the building blocks and what you have to get started using Power BI. So we've got what's called the Power BI desktop, which is what I have open here right now. The desktop is basically what you use to author reports, to create your reports. The Power BI desktop is free to install, no charge, no licensing, no any of that. But sort of, it's a bit of a well, it's free to use, free to create your reports. Where the cost comes in is when you publish the reports to what's called the Power BI service, which is the browser where you can where anybody can go in and consume the reports. So to get started and play with reports, you can create them on your own. You can actually even export those to PowerPoint if you wanted to, or PDF rather. Again, free of charge. So the way we get started with the desktop tool is we get our data from whatever source we want to create from. And you see these are grayed out, but we can get data from SQL. We can get data from Excel. OData, if you're using Project Online, you would use OData to get the data out of Project Online. It'll connect to Salesforce. It will connect to, gosh, just about anything I've ever encountered, really. It'll really connect to just anything. In fact, let me just open another one real quick. I'll just show you. While we wait for that to open up. So as far as the layout of desktop, we've got the fields over here on the far right. So this represents all the tables or all the feeds that I've brought in. So I've got all of my fields under each one of those listed there. And then we've got our visualizations here on the left. So we can create, this is a little bit small, but you can see donut chart, which is what we've got here, table, which we've got here at the bottom, card tiles, which we've got here across the top. Bar charts, these funnel charts, there's I mean, literally anything you can imagine, a Gantt chart, a bar chart with a line across it, scatter plots, anything. So you can use any visualization that comes with it. However, you can also add, so there's an option here to get more visuals. So you can get more visuals online, typically for no charge, through the Power BI listings there online. There's a lot of different ones. We had a client recently who was wanting to create a bubble chart, basically different sized bubbles, meaning, you know, like a small, medium, large type thing, right? Well, there wasn't one out of the box. So what do you know? You go here and you go search for more visuals, and sure enough, there was a free bubble chart that was available that we were able to use for the client. So you can do a lot of different visuals with what's here, again, versus importing others as well. Let me just show you real quick while I open this back up. So what all we can get from, get the data from. We can connect to, and this is everything, but you see the list, SharePoint folder. You can connect to AWS for Amazon Web Services, shared data sets, Dynamics. I mentioned Salesforce. And again, there's the list. I mean, I've not used probably 10% of these, but it will connect to just about anything. So once you connect your data, or connect your report there, then you've got, again, your fields and whatnot here on the side. Mention the visuals. This is the sort of the layout of the report, the canvas, if you will, the square here. We've got, of course, the title, some card tiles, the graphs, the table here at the bottom, and then across the bottom of the desktop, it's like Excel, right? So here we've got the portfolio dashboard. Here's the milestones within this portfolio. Here are the risks associated with this portfolio, and this may take just a second for it to spin up. But you see the issues. We've got some resource reports as well, etc. So different things here. So here's a resource availability heat map showing who's working on what. So again, lots of different. You can create different. It's really one report, but there's different tabs, right? So when someone views it within the browser, and let me jump over to the service here. Let me go back. So this is the same report, but when we publish it, when we basically stick it out on the service, so now it's available through the browser. Now this is the same report. So see, it's kind of got links here on the left instead of having to scroll across the bottom. So there's the dashboard, there's the milestones, things like that. You can also do filtering within the report. So like taking the milestones, for example, milestones upcoming in the next 30 days, milestones completed in the last 30 days. So you can do filters on that where you can do, if we go to the milestones, see this relative right here. So you don't have to hard code your dates, right? So basically you have a rolling 30-day window, just as an example. So you can do sort of dynamic filtering as well. Also, in this filter pane, you see there's 1, 2, 3. Well, let me click here and there'll be 3 sections. 1, 2, 3 sections. So we've got filters on this visual, which is on the one that I've got open here right now. We've got filters on this page, and I don't have anything currently. Filters on all pages, which of course would filter every single tab within the report. So depending on what you're doing, you know, like for example, for this milestone, or for this guy, in the next 30 days. I'd want to set that on this filter, right? So I'm sorry, on this visual, where we can see the filters, or I'm sorry, the milestones rather, for the next 30 days. The other ones we may want to filter on the entire report, or again on a particular page. So that's just some examples of what we can do. Again, I'll just go through the browser. So here's again and this is our report pack, we call it. We provide a report pack for Microsoft Project Online that has sort of kind of the base stuff, right? Portfolio type things, of course, just the roll up of the projects, things about your resources. Again, who's working on what's their availability. Details about a particular resource, the forecast, what time has been booked by project, what time by the timesheet manager, issues and risks. Again, kind of a one-pager project status report, that type thing. Then your risks and issues across the project, timesheet reports, timesheet compliance, things like that. So again, just to kind of straighten out what we've got Power BI Desktop, which is this. Then it's the authoring piece where you create your report. And then when we're done, when we're finished, when we're ready to publish the report, we do this, publish to Power BI, which puts it out here on the browser in what's called the service. So within the service, once we've created our report, published it up to the service, we've got within here what's called Workspaces. So what the heck's a workspace? Well, the workspace is sort of like your little sandbox, right? By group. So if you think about it, I've got up at the top my workspace, which is just my personal area, right, that no one else can see. Maybe it's maybe I'm testing something out. Maybe I'm not exactly finished with the report yet. I want to create it and I want to stick it up there just so I can kind of tweak it. And then when I'm done, maybe I'll move it somewhere else. And then you've got these other groups. So we can create a workspace. For example, here's PMO projects. We could create PMO reports under there. If IT wanted to have their own reports, we would have a workspace for IT. And then naturally, as you can imagine, we can add security, right, to these reports. Or, I'm sorry, to the workspaces, so that we could choose who's a member of that workspace. And maybe someone's an admin of the workspace. Maybe they're read-only. Maybe they can publish to it. Maybe they can't. Maybe they can only view reports, things like that. So that's how we can do the different workspaces, again, within the service. Also, I'll show you something else within the reports. If we go back to the report I had open, here we go. So Power BI also has the notion of dashboards. It's kind of a whatever debate on what technically is a dashboard. A lot of people would say this is a dashboard. I would say you're right. This is a dashboard. Dashboard is kind of quick visual in your face. Think about an executive type person who doesn't want to drill through 9 pages of reports to get the data. Just quick, show me how many projects we've got, just quick visuals. Well, within Power BI, there's also a quote unquote dashboard. And what you can do with that is pin some visuals. So let's say, for example, I want to look at this, right? This is a visual that I like. So I'm going to select this push pin. And by the way, you see the push pin's not there till I'm in that box or in that visual. So I'm going to click the pin. I'm going to create a new dashboard and I'm going to call it PBI webinar. Okay. So I grab this first one. And then let's say I also want to look at, who knows, maybe this guy. I'm going to click the pin and I'm going to say existing and I'm going to change it to the PBI webinar. And maybe I'll grab a couple more. So there's the availability heat map. This is always good to see who's working on what. PBI webinar. So now if I go back within my workspace where I have this report, here's this webinar. So now I've got this dashboard. So basically all it is I've grabbed certain visuals off some other reports and I've stuck them together on one page. Because, maybe I like this visual that's on page 6 and I like this visual that's on page 1. And what, wouldn't it be nice if I could just see those things all smushed together? Well, you can by creating this dashboard. So now I've got this and, like this risk report. If I want to see some more information, if I click on that, it's going to take me right back to the risks report because I pinned this from that page. So again, so you can have those dashboards as well where you can create, and of course, same thing for availability. Click that, takes me back to this chart. So that's just kind of basics of what we can do with Power BI with reports and dashboards. We can also always pop these out, as I call it. It's called focus mode, which sounds better than pop these out, I guess. But if we click on that, look at that. Wow, now I can actually see it, right? It's actually nice and big, so that I can click back to report if I want to go back. So any of the visuals always have the pin. They always have the little focus mode button there at the top where you can pop it out so you can see more of the real estate there on each visual. I will mention briefly before we have a moment to ask some questions. Talked about the desktop, talked about the service where basically you consume the reports. Also, I should probably mention while we're here, within the service, you can also subscribe to reports. I find this handy for higher up executive type people because there again, you know, they like things in their inbox, right? They don't want to have to click, log in, click the page, go to the workspace, all those things. So you can create subscriptions for the reports where it would run the report on a certain schedule, generate a PDF or a PowerPoint copy of the report and send it to someone automatically. So you can do that as well where you can subscribe. Also, and we don't necessarily have to get into it today, but there's also within Power BI, if you've done or have worked with SSRS before, you know, SQL reporting services, it's what's called a paginated report, meaning when we create the report, we create basically the shell or the wireframe for one page, okay? So imagine like a project status report that's one page. We create one page. Well, what if I want to run that for all projects? Right, so within Power BI with the desktop, you know, what we saw before this, you know, here's my my projects. Well, I won't, anyway, just say this report, for example. This is one page. So if I want to run it for multiple projects, I'd have to run this one, click the project again, run that one. There's also now what's called Power BI Report Builder, which is basically the SSRS or SQL Reporting Services Report Builder, but basically they tweaked it for Power BI. So you can create what's called paginated reports, meaning I can build a wireframe for one report, say project status, and then if I want to run that for all projects, it's going to generate, let's say we've got 15 projects. It's going to generate a 15-page PowerPoint that is one page for every single project, the exact same looking report every single time, 15 times. So that's something else that you can do within Power BI is you have that, here we go, the darn thing's right on the edge of the window there. So yeah, so you can have the report here. And again, I could run this paginated report and do it 15 times. There's also, that's from the authoring side. So you've got the desktop. You also have the paginated report builder that you can use if you want to create those SSRS type reports. And then also on the consumption side, if you will, there's the service, right, where people come in through the browser like we saw. And of course, this is cloud-based, right? This is out in app.powerbi.com. So this is in the cloud under Office 365. There's also Power BI Server, not service. Service is the cloud. There's also Power BI Server, so that if you're a type of organization that doesn't want data out in the cloud, for whatever reason, if for security or whatnot, you can have the server, which is internal, and then you can publish your reports to the Power BI server using that paginated report builder that we talked about before. So you've got a couple options, either internal or external, and you got a couple options for authoring your reports as well. So let's take a few minutes and see if you guys have any questions. I'd be glad to answer anything that you may have.
I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but if anybody wants to unmute and go ahead, feel free to.
Yeah.
Ray, is it pretty easy to, you know, you said there's the free version that works on your desktop, I guess, just locally, you can't publish anything, but that pretty easy to install?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. If you go to, if you just search for Power BI Desktop, now I will tell you, let me just show you real quick. And it's right there in my thing because I just got a new laptop and just installed it actually yesterday. So if you download the first link, Power BI Desktop, it will come up. So you can download for free, or down here at the bottom, you have the choice of if there's a 64-bit and a 32-bit. So that's basically it. That's your only options. And again, very straightforward. It's a bit of a chunky install, but yeah, it's simple. I will tell you though, Power BI Desktop is a bit of a memory pig. So depending on your machine, I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, I can't use this, my laptop's not worthy. I mean, don't do that. I mean, by all means use it, but you'll see when you start it up that, you'll might want to, and that's why I got a new laptop a couple days ago. If I had Teams and Outlook and OneNote and Power BI Desktop open, I could tell it was kind of annoyingly slower. So you might want to close Teams, close Outlook or whatever. But yeah, it's right there, and like I said, it is a bit of a memory pig. You also, I mentioned the report builder, Power BI report builder. That's the other tool. That's for paginated reports, like I mentioned. And again, that's right here. Download Power BI report builder. So that there's, again, two different flavors depending on what you're wanting to do. But yeah, you might want to take a look at sort of the explanations for both. But 9 times out of 10, you use this Power BI Desktop. Oh, and I'll mention as well, and mine doesn't have it because again, I literally just installed it. But down here in the bottom right-hand corner where it has my email, typically, it's not uncommon, I should say, for when you start the thing up, it will have down here in the bottom right corner, update available. Microsoft is very good about updating the desktop tool. I want to say it's quarterly, but at the same time, I feel like it's more often than quarterly, unless time just flies by and I just have forgotten. But at least quarterly, they'll release updates. And so whenever you launch desktop, it'll say in the bottom right-hand corner, updates are available. Because that gives you, the latest and greatest. I would not be leery of installing the latest updates. I always install the Power BI updates whenever it's available because, they come out with something different. Like the filters pane didn't used to be here. So when you publish the reports, now you can see the filters off to the side. That's not necessarily new. That's just, maybe a year old or better. I don't know. But that was an example of one of the more one of fairly decent update that they did because you can see the filters. Prior you'd have, like, you've got a filter up here at the top. You'd have to put those up at the top. You couldn't use the filters on the side. So again, there's always coming up with something new that you can do within the desktop. Good question though. Any other questions? If not,
Ray, we did have a question come in.
Yeah.
The question was, can you get your data from other sources like P6?
P6? I've heard of G6 because I'm actually fly like a G6, but I don't know about P6. That's a joke. The jokes are free, by the way. Those don't cost. I'm not sure. I don't know what P6 is, honestly. I have to tell you, I've never heard of P6. Oh, Primavera. Yeah, I don't know. That is a good question. I've never worked with it directly. I'll tell you, I would be surprised if it doesn't. Like I said, well, the one I had up just a second ago was from Salesforce. This is a report that connects to Salesforce to create different things. I don't know if, hold on. Do you want to connect Primavera to Power BI? Yeah, I would say you can. I do not know 100% positive, but I would say you could because I've not seen anything before that it can't connect to. Very good question, though. I've never had that come up. Any other questions?
Ray, maybe continuing on that question, maybe if you were to export data from P6 to Excel, in some format,
you could.
Then you could bring it in that way.
You could do that. Yes. There's always a Excel, the Swiss Army knife of IT tools. I'm sure there's a way to do it with. You could always bring Excel into anything, right? Make it work. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to mention one other thing real quick before we cut out. Okay. Then one more thing, since we've got a few minutes left. Let me show you this too. So within Power BI, I'm not going to show you how you do it. I'm just going to tell you that you can do it because we don't have time to show you how to do it. But Power BI also has what's called row level security. So one of the kickers with Power BI is when you publish a report out there, there's security on it in that you can get to the reports, you can't get to the report, but there's not, by default, There's not security in, I can see this report, I can see everything, right? Maybe we don't want that. So let's take the Salesforce report for an example. You may not be able to see real well at the bottom. Maybe you can see a little bit better. But here's the sales by state. So here's California, New York, Florida, so on and so forth, all the way through here. So, you know, by default, someone brings up this report, they can see everything. If we don't want them to do that, we can do what's called row level security. What the heck is that? Row level security means if Ray runs this report, and Ray's from California, just because I don't see my state listed in here, so apparently we didn't do real well with sales. Then when I run the report, guess what? I'm just going to see California. I'm not going to see the other ones, right? And all the numbers that I see are just that. So you can set that up as well. Again, it's called row level security. Super simple. You set it up within the tool here, within desktop, apologize, when you publish the report. And then you can also manage it once you have it out here. Again, you can set up the security so that, again, Ray runs it, I see California. Erin runs it, she sees New Jersey or whatever. So you've got that as an option as well, because sometimes that is a bit of a consideration with Power BI, is that, oh, this is great, we can secure the report. Woohoo, you know, the only people that need to see the report can see it. And you're like, oh, wait, well, but, you know, we really don't want everybody seeing everything, right? We just really want them seeing their own stuff. So again, very easy to implement. There's articles out there on it, or we may do another webinar on that at another time if need be. But yeah, if there's no other questions, I think we've got a few minutes left. Appreciate your time. If you do have any other questions, feel free to take a couple minutes. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up.
Thanks everybody for joining today. I think Erin has put in the survey link out there. If you have a second, please fill that out for us. We love to know how we're doing, and suggestions for future webinars if you have any. We'd love to put those together for you. So if you are going down the Power BI path, we do offer some services as far as workshops, training, implementations, and support. So we're here to help in any way that you guys need. And aside from that, if you want to follow us, please do on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We post everything that is new and upcoming webinars, new apps, products, and services that we've posted. And we love talking to you guys. So once again, thank you guys so much. I will have this recording available hopefully by